Well, I can almost guarantee you it's going to be good because I've been asking for guidance, and some of the messages that I've gotten have told me that I need to speak with people who are from a different belief systems and who come from different places and who have different outlooks. Because as much as I love confirmation bias, it doesn't allow you to grow and it doesn't allow you to stretch. So I want to speak with
Love
people
it.
who have different ideas and who have different outlooks. And I think you might be one of those. The podcast is called The Big Questions, and it's a little bit misleading because the first question I ask, I often tell people it's the biggest one, it's the hardest one to answer. And that's what I'm going to start with right now. Who are you?
Who am I? I am just a normal guy that had the quote American dream. I wanted to go to school, go to college, get a job in corporate America, buy a home, get a wife, and have all of the luxuries, that the American dream was, that we were told that it was. Um, I worked for corporate America, make this real short, and I started looking into deceptions of the world. Started out with the Federal Reserve. What is money was my first question, and then I started doing a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole for fun about examining the deceptions in the world, all of the big deceptions. And then in the third year, people started sending me, "Hey, have you looked into flat Earth?" And what any rational person would go, delete, ignore that person, block that person, ban them from our social media, because I don't need people that stupid bothering me, wasting my time. But then I was forced by a fellow researcher who said she thinks the Earth might be flat. And I was like, oh, come on. I said, that's it. I'm going to prove the globe. 6 years later, I have walked away from my own company. I had my own company after corporate America with a couple partners, doing really well, making great money. And I walked away from it all because, as we're going to find out, and we'll wrap it up towards the end of the hour, why the shape of the Earth matters. Because people like, so what? Boats don't go over the horizon. Okay, sticks and shadows don't matter. All right, I see sunsets, how they work. They throw up their hands and they go, why? What does it matter? It doesn't affect my life. And that's the psyop. It affects your life more than you could ever imagine. And it is the most important truth out there. And it's the reason the world is in the shape that it's in right now. Shape, quote, no pun intended there. It's the reason humanity has been fooled, and that we are being treated like sheep because we are dumb animals the way we look at the world. So how's that? That's who I am.
and just for logistical purposes, do you go by David or Dave?
I do go by both, or dumb flat earther, whatever you want to call me. Doesn't matter.
Come on, man. Listen, there's too many people who are subscribing to this and to other things that might seem irrational on the surface. There's too many people subscribing to these ideas to be dumb. You can't just say people are stupid. That doesn't work. And in fact, stupidity doesn't exist. Intelligence is a really tricky concept to prove. And if you ask 100 people to define intelligence, they're all going to give you different definitions.
I'm going to say some crazy, wild, insane things today.
I hope you do.
And I'm also going to say some, oh, that really makes a lot of sense. That some simple things. And what you're going to find out is the crazy, insane things that I'm saying are all about what the ball model is, the globe model that everybody believes.
Mm-hmm.
And the simple common sense things like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Those are all about the flat earth. And you're going to see that as we go through this. Also, at some point, can you enable screen sharing? Because I have a little model that I can show. You can work on that.
Yeah.
So where do you want to start?
Oh man, there's so many places. I mean, the first question that I had, and I thought I was being super clever, which maybe I'm the idiot here, was to ask you, let's say that your theory about a flat earth is 100% accurate. Let's just start from that point. So what? That was my first question, is how does that affect my day-to-day life? How does that help me be a better person? How does that help me play a role in the paradigm shift that is happening and that must happen and that must be guided along in the proper direction? Otherwise, we're all fucked.
You are going to love this answer, but let's save it for the last 10 minutes of the show. Okay. Let's find out if the Earth is not a spinning ball first.
Okay. Let's start with that.
For anyone that's listening, if you think this is the dumbest conversation ever, hang in there. I have a Bitcoin. You know what a Bitcoin is, right? for anybody that can supply me, I'm going to give my email address out at the end, with one proof of the globe, just one proof of the spinning globe, and I will transfer a Bitcoin to you same day. All right.
Well, so maybe my first question, before we even get into the flat Earth, is a question of epistemology, because you're talking about proof and evidence, and
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a tricky thing to talk about, because your standards of evidence and proof might be different from mine. A Christian might say, "Well, the proof is in the Bible, and that's my standard of proof." I might say, "Well, I trust the scientific method." So, what's your standard of proof?
Well, so I don't want to discredit the Bible. My co-host, Matt Long, on the Flat Earth podcast is a strong Bible Christian, and he comes from the Bible side, and the Bible is a flat earth book. Page
Well, yeah.
one, God separated the waters from the waters with the firmament. You know, Werner von Braun, the Nazi scientist that was brought over here to run NASA, his gravestone says Psalms 19:1 on it. If you look that up, it's about God and the firmament separating the waters from the waters. Why would a rocket scientist that runs NASA talk about a dome over our heads?
Yeah.
Right. So is the Bible proof? You can't show me any proof in the Bible. Bible never mentions the word planet. They never say sphere. They say in Isaiah, they say the circle of the earth.
That's
well,
right.
my table's a circle.
That's right.
My table's a circle.
Flat circle.
And
right?
and the earth is a circle, actually. But that's the flat earth is a circle.
So again, I'm not critiquing the Bible as a source of wisdom or evidence for anything. All I'm saying is, if your standard of proof is different from mine, then it doesn't matter if I present all of the evidence in the world. You're not going to believe it because it's not your standard of proof.
Well, see, that's I've never been asked that question before. You know, what is the Bible proof? There's a lot of people that don't believe in the Bible, right? There's people that believe in the Bible and people that don't believe in the Bible, but there's science that everybody believes. Like if I have this and I have a ruler, I can say this is 4 inches across. That's science. That's provable. And Christians and non-Christians can both accept it as proof. So yes, scientific proof. That's
okay. That's what you're looking for. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other question I had for you that I think might be interesting is, what kind of evidence, or what would have to happen? What would have to come out in order for you to reverse your position and suddenly say, you know what, actually, I was incorrect. Now that I've seen this evidence, I believe that the earth is a sphere. Is there anything that could come out that would allow you to go back to that position?
Yeah. So people say, you know, you flat earthers, you'll never change your mind. You know, no matter what we show you, you're going to say fake, fake, fake. Well, that's the opposite of the truth, because we were all ball earthers. Right. And we all changed our mind based on new evidence. Now, if somebody could show me how large bodies of water at rest curve, you know, the earth is 70% water, and we measure, you know, according to globe math, a 6 foot tall person standing at the edge of calm water shouldn't be able to see beyond 3 miles. The water should drop 6 feet, and then they should never see the surface of the water. But as we look into the distance, we see water way beyond that. Like, for example, this right here is 9.4 miles. The camera's at 1 foot. The horizon should be less than 2 miles away. But not only can we see the rig, we can see the water beyond the rig for miles and miles and miles. There should be hundreds of feet of curvature. Okay. Or what does it say here? On 51 feet here, there should be 50 some odd feet at here, but we're seeing miles and miles and miles farther. So there is no curvature. So show me curvature. You know, in the heliocentric model, which I don't believe space is a vacuum, but we're told space is a vacuum. Well, the second law of thermodynamics says you can't have high pressure next to low pressure, or a vacuum, which is super low pressure, no pressure, without a physical barrier. Right. So a lot of flat earthers will say, well, that proves there's a physical barrier. I go, well, I don't accept the fact that space is a vacuum. So maybe there's not a barrier. You know, Genesis says God separated the waters from the waters. Well, think about a boiling pot of water, you know, the bubbles that form on the bottom.
Sure.
That's a high pressure system with a flat surface on the bottom with a dome over it without a physical barrier. Right. It's just water.
Yep.
So we don't know what's up there. I mean, we can, you know, we've done experiments. Amateur rockets have gone up and seen very interesting things.
So do you have what's your level of trust or faith in NASA and the information that they provide people?
Can we spend 5 minutes and completely 100% destroy NASA so you never believe
let's
anything
do it.
that has the word NASA in it ever?
Let's do it. Let's hear your side of it. What's NASA's deal? I mean, so first of all, the guy that you mentioned at the beginning, I can't remember his name, but I had another friend bring him up and I looked him up, and that checks out. the guy who started NASA was a Nazi scientist. And so I
Neil-
just want the audience to
Werner
know
von
that,
Braun.
yeah,
Werner von Braun.
there's nothing conspiratorial about that. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's proven, it's fact. You can check it out for yourself. And it's yeah, not controversial at all.
I think NASA's logo looks a little bit like a snake's tongue, but that's just me putting my impression on what NASA's logo is.
Sure.
So let's look at photos of Earth. NASA basically has two photos that they don't even call them photos. They call them pictures and images because they don't want to lie and say that they're photos. This one was on everyone's iPhone when it first came out. It's called the Blue Marble. Mm-hmm. Robert Simmons, a NASA visual artist, did an interview, and he said how he created this in Photoshop. In the interview, he said he created it in Photoshop. He said, well, this area had more plankton. I got data, and I figured, oh, more plankton is probably greener. And he just Photoshopped the whole thing. If you look at this one, the United States is this big, and look at this one, the United States is twice the size. Mm-hmm. There's even a bigger problem than that. These balls are the same size, but if I have the United States here, the other one's tilted back a little bit. If I tilt it back, what happens in the United States? It gets smaller.
Yeah,
it doesn't get bigger.
Yeah.
And this one is twice the size and tilted back, right? So what is that? And he admits he made this in Photoshop. So what does that tell you? I mean, that tells you a lot. I mean, it tells you that it's fake. So here's the 2012 image. This is a photograph, image from NASA on their website. They say this is Earth from space, and happens to be a full Earth, like a full moon. Mm-hmm. So they, that's easier for them to fake. Here's the United States, and I replicated about what we're seeing on this globe right here. Sure. We're seeing half the globe because it's fully illuminated. Yep. So you have to believe that the rest of all of this land is on the other side of this ball.
Sure.
That's would you agree that's impossible?
Yeah, but I mean, so the map that you're referring to there, from the sphere down to that map, we know that map is inaccurate as well. It doesn't represent the land masses accurately, and they've done new maps that more accurately represent the actual continents, their sizes and their scale. And if you maybe compared it to that map, you might see something different, right?
Yeah, it's just as bad. I mean, proportionally, this is how much land there is. The globe, ballers will say, you don't guys have a map. Well, you know what? Our map works for navigation. Their map, their globe is completely wrong. Like Greenland and Africa are reversed in sizes, and there's all sorts of issues with that. So Jupiter is a big gaseous planet, right? You're familiar with Jupiter, what you learned. What's this red dot on Jupiter? It's a storm bigger than Earth.
Yep. That's
been spinning ever since we discovered Jupiter. And these rings, this ring is going this way and this ring is going that way. And it's these gaseous storms. Well, in 2016, NASA goes, with our new telescope, we got an amazing picture of the auroras on Jupiter. Now, us flat earthers go, that's fake. I mean, I could do that in Photoshop in 3 seconds. All right. I don't even know how to use Photoshop that well. But let's assume it's right. This picture was taken over 2 years earlier. If you overlay them, every little ripple is the same. These are storms, right? Every cloud, this little dot is right there. There's the little dot. Okay. So what does that tell you? They're faking pictures of other planets.
Okay.
Does it tell you that? I mean, that's,
again,
there's no other conclusion that you can make other than they're faking it. Here's a picture of Pluto that they got. Pluto is so far away that the sun is like a small star. And how did it get so well lit? And why does it have a shape of Pluto the dog on it? Okay. Okay. This is the most just Google NASA recent photo of Pluto. This is what they're showing us. How did they get this? This could be the bottom of a frying pan. You don't know what it is.
That I agree with. I agree. I have not been to Pluto. I have not seen it with my own 2 eyes. So I can't say that that's 100% sure. Yeah. Now, go back to Jupiter for a sec, though, because I mean, I can get with my telescope, I can see Jupiter. And I can see Jupiter quite clearly. So again, and it doesn't
look like this.
But I mean, obviously not that clear, not that defined, because my telescope isn't the Hubble, but it still looks pretty much the same. And while we were waiting for the Saturn and the Jupiter conversion there that happened recently, I got some good shots of it. And I mean, it looks like that. It doesn't. look that clear and that crisp, but it
Yeah.
looks like that in my telescope. So is my telescope rigged, or what's the deal there?
No, absolutely not. So we see these objects are in the sky.
Yes.
When you look at Saturn's amazing. It's lit up like a light bulb, and so are the rings lit up like a light bulb. Okay. They're emitting their own light.
Okay.
So how does a dusty, stormy, cloudy planet shine back to Earth so bright it's brighter than any other star, right? You're looking at them, they're brighter than the stars,
Yeah.
right? And it's just reflected sunlight. Doesn't make any sense. And if they were reflected sunlight, we would see different phases of them, but we don't see that, except in like Venus, we see phases, and that's because I think Venus is a moon, but that's a whole another rabbit hole to go down. So yeah, there are these things up there, and sure, Saturn looks spherical to me. It looks spherical to you, I assume, too, right?
Yeah, in my telescope, not just pictures. And I mean,
no, I'm with you with a telescope. But
the pictures
so
that we get from
here's
NASA are Photoshop because things don't look that nice in space. So I think they add colors and they add things to make them more appealing, but the actual shapes and the spheres are there.
I just showed you that they're faking Earth, right? They're faking images of Earth. I mean, if you look at the blue marble, these are stepped and repeated clouds, same cloud, same cloud, same cloud, same clouds. Okay, so they're faking it. They even admit they're faking it, and nobody cares.
Well, they're doctoring it. I don't think they're creating the entire thing from scratch. I think they're taking a real image and then they're making it prettier for aesthetic audiences like us.
Where are the rest of the continents? We just see America in there. The proportions don't work. So hang on. We're talking about the shape of what we see in the sky.
Yeah.
So when I look at Saturn, it looks like a light ball, a ball to me. But how we can prove scientifically that reflected light can't come back that bright, because every time you half the distance to something, it's 4 times brighter, and every time you double the difference, it's 1/4 the brightness. So it would have to be so bright. We'll get into that in the moon in a second, but the moon sure looks spherical to me, even to the naked eye, right? You look at it, it looks like a sphere. It acts like a sphere, the way it's lit up. But I'm going to show you some images right now, and there's 4 moons, and it's going to happen quick. So you got to guess. Is this one a sphere? Is that a sphere?
Sure.
Okay, well, it's the backside of a sphere. How about this one? Is this one a sphere?
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Is this one a sphere? It looks like a sphere, right?
Yeah, of course. So you can't tell from looking at it dead on. And we know the moon is tidally locked. It doesn't actually orbit, right?
That's just a flat image. Is this one a sphere?
No idea.
Well, it looks like a sphere. Yeah. What I'm saying is that it's a cup. It's a bowl, right? That one is a sphere. So when you light a sphere with a single source light, it has a hot spot, and it has a hot spot, and where are we going? There we go. It has a hot spot, and then it fades off to the edge. But when we look at the full moon, it's bright edge to edge. It's so bright that when we're away from the city lights, we can read by it. We can walk, we navigate. It's casting shadows on the ground, but we're supposed to believe that this dusty, dirty ball is reflecting light back this bright all the way 238,000 miles to Earth. Let's talk about the inverse square law of light. It's really easy. If something, let's just say this is 1 lumen, because I'm going to give the moon every benefit of the doubt. It's probably like 20 lumens, but let's just 1 lumen. A lumen is a measurement of light. It's 1 lumen. So if we went halfway to the moon, according to science, the law, inverse square law of light, halfway to the moon, it would be 4 lumens. And if we took that distance, cut it in half, it would be 16 lumens. Took that, cut it in half, it would be 64 lumens. And it gets brighter and brighter. That's how light works. When you get 100 miles from the moon, where the astronauts supposedly took a picture that looked, kind of like this, it would be like 10 million lumens, okay? Which would melt your eyeballs.
Right.
But we're supposed to believe that we can read on Earth by this light reflecting back to Earth. That shows you NASA is lying. They're lying. We have images. We have tons of videos of them. They're doing a live stream. The astronauts are floating. There's a couple objects are floating, and just before they went to break, they say goodbye. Their green screen screwed up and they melted, right? And everything that was floating melted also. Yeah. And then they cut away to mission control. There it is again. That happened. There's other times where their green screen screwed up and we could see their harnesses. Look at this guy that floats by for authentic effect. Look at his harness. He's hanging from wires. We've caught them hanging wires. We've caught them getting tangled in their wires when they're doing their back flips. Okay. They're hanging from wires in the space station. They're faking space. They're lying. Just one thing you need. We have them fading in and out. Like when they're going, they fade out when they go around a corner. Like the CGI didn't work and you could see through the astronaut. It's showing you that they're editing and using green screens and they're doing all sorts of stuff. So NASA is 100% fake. Getting back to when you look up at the sky, Jupiter looks spherical, right? It kind of looks spherical. The bottom's cut off a little bit, but take that away. Looks spherical, right? Because your mind sees what you want to see. Sure. That's actually a picture of a meadow with ducks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And it's just like you see what you want to see, but it doesn't matter. I say the moon is spherical and Saturn is spherical, but I want you to look up at the lights in your ceiling right now, study them, and tell me what shape your floor is.
I have no idea.
No, well, what shape is your floor? Your floor is obviously flat.
Yeah, yeah.
So the lights in the ceiling have nothing to do with the shape of the earth. The balls on a pool table have nothing to do with the shape of the pool table.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay?
So you're saying that these things could be spherical doesn't mean that the earth is?
100%.
Okay.
100%. So, and I don't even think, the sun and the moon don't even act like physical objects. Our optics, take your telescope and zoom in on a star. This is Arcturus.
Mm-hmm.
And we zoomed in with a 125 times zoom. And this is what we're seeing, not what NASA is showing us, right? This is Capella, right? A little out of focus, but the cymatic patterns that we're seeing, these things are within the Earth system. And here's Sirius. Slow down a little bit.
And who got these close-up videos, or who got these
anybody
videos?
Can do it with a consumer P900 P1000 camera. I actually took some of these. There's other guys out there. So anybody can do this themselves, and then you try to figure out. It kind of looks like it's underwater, doesn't it? We've done experiments with lights in water, and it looks just like that.
Yeah.
So again,
have you seen some of these?
One last thing. Anything above
right.
our heads and beyond the shoreline of Antarctica is speculation. Happy to talk about it, but I'd rather talk about the things that we can measure here.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. No. And I was just going to say, have you checked out any of these recent close-ups of our sun? I mean, they probably not if you think it's all fake, but they've taken some close-up snapshots of the sun, and it looks nothing like what we thought it looked like when you get up close to the sun. So I imagine when you're looking at it from a distance, like these images, it's not going to look the same either. I mean, you're saying that the eyes can't be trusted. We don't see reality. We see what the senses tell us. And that the eye only picks up 1% of what's actually out there in terms of electromagnetism and light and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I think, again, that's why I'm skeptical, and that's why I'm not certain of anything, because I know that I don't know and I can't know. All I have is this experience.
Well,
based on this experience, what can I experience that will show me that your theory is valid? Not based on the math. I'm not a mathematician. Right. I haven't done any of the experiments. I'm not a scientist. All I'm doing is taking stuff at face value here. I need direct experience. How can I find this out?
You can see too far. You can see too far. Just go to the shoreline, zoom in with your camera on a known object, figure out how far it is, a buoy, an oil rig, whatever you got out there, and calculate with the curve calculator how far below the curve it should be. And when you can see it, that tells you there's no curvature. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat. So let's talk about the heliocentric model for a little bit and just show you how ridiculous it is.
Well, I got to ask you, though, because if it's that simple, if I can do this, and I'm going to, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look up the math. I'm going to go and do it. And if it is, as you say, and the math doesn't check out, and I'm seeing way beyond what I should be able to see based on the curvature of the earth, if a regular dude like me can do that, and you can do that, if you never brought this up to scientists, have you never stumped any of these guys and made them walk back their own views, or at least say, whoa, shit, maybe I need to look into this more?
Yeah. So this is what happens. Scientists will look at it. Some of them have become flat earthers when they see it. Other ones won't talk to us, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, the lion guy with the bow tie, and Brian Cox. We've been trying to get them to bring us to the table. They've addressed flat earthers in video after video after video, making false claims, straw man arguments, gaslighting us, but they will never talk to us directly. Neil deGrasse Tyson says the science is settled. We don't need to talk to flat earthers.
That doesn't sound like a scientist speaking, because scientists
Thank
should know
you.
it's never settled. Hypotheses
Right,
stand until they are taken down, and science can't prove anything. It can only disprove.
right.
So again,
Let's
let's,
talk about the heliocentric model for a minute. And
yeah.
when I was asked these questions, I didn't know them. You've done a little research. Maybe you know. How fast is the Earth spinning?
Oh yeah, no, I don't have any specific
Right.
numbers
No
on that.
problem. No problem. Don't take it wrong because I didn't know either. It's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. So that means when you're watching a sunset, you believe that you're falling over backwards on a ball faster than the speed of sound. Okay. And that's why the sun looks like it's going down, because we're spinning. That makes the sun appear to go down.
Yep.
Here's the sun, and I'm spinning over backwards, making it appear to go down. So you believe that you're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound, taking a curved trajectory, dropping 5 miles a minute or something like that. And you don't feel it. While you're doing that, you're orbiting the sun at 66,600 miles an hour. Very interesting, compared. That's a weird number. Why did that happen? 66,600 miles an hour. You're chasing the sun at over 500,000 miles an hour. All the other planets are doing the same, staying on a flat plane with each other and chasing the sun through space, while that entire system's moving sideways at 1 or 2 million miles an hour, right? All of that is going on, right? All of those curving motions. And we have lakes like this, right? Glass lakes without any bulging or sloshing. If you had a big shallow bowl of water and you're in a car going 100 miles an hour down a straight road, no problem. That car starts taking a turn, that water is sloshing.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have this. We have people that can build balancing rocks like this, right? I build these things all the time. They're amazing. Tiniest little vibration will send them down, right? The earth is curving and turning and whirling and swirling, and stuff like this stays up. You got to be kidding me.
It's gravity, right?
Gravity.
Is that fake too?
Theory. We can get into that. And
why not?
And how gravity really works.
Well, let's keep. I don't want to derail you. Like you're on a train right now, so let's keep going in the direction that you're going. You're showing me some compelling evidence, but again, this is all stuff that having no scientific background, having not conducted the experiments myself.
Right. Don't give away your God-given senses to the assumption of authority for people. The scientists are the ones that memorize and regurgitate the information in the Rockefeller textbooks the best. If you can memorize it and regurgitate it, then you become a scientist. You become a teacher, right, of the nonsense.
But if the science was not right, if none of it was true, if it was
all wrong, it's all theoretical.
Then how are we talking right now? Because the technology that we're using is based on science.
Don't see that. That's another fallacy. It's a I forget the name of that fallacy, but it's there is science. There is technology. It has nothing to do with the shape of the earth. It has to do with human ingenuity. It has to do with technology. And you can say there's science, therefore the earth is a ball. Makes no sense. That is a correlation that has absolutely no correlation at all.
I'm not saying that because technology works, the earth is round. I'm saying that the same science that makes this technology works is at the foundation of the fact that we believe, or that we postulate, that there is a spherical earth.
Incorrect. There's no science that shows the earth is a sphere. As I said, I have a Bitcoin, which is $28,000 at the time of this recording, for anybody that can come up with one proof. And this is what happens. At the end of these shows, people go, you presented a lot of stuff. I still think we live on a ball. And I say, well, can you give me one proof that you live on a ball? And the person says, well, no, I can't, but I still believe it. Okay.
Well, I can give you the same kind of proof that you're giving me about the flat earth, and we're going to disagree, right?
Let me start. We can see too far. Your turn.
No, I'd have to do some research, obviously.
Okay,
this is not a topic that I've ever looked into until today. So
let's say you did the research and you realize we could see farther than we should if the earth was 1,000 times bigger than they say it is, and you could still see too far. So now it's your turn. Globe proof.
Yeah, of course. I have to see the evidence first, though. Again, firsthand.
Right. What I'm saying is you won't have any. Here, let's look at this.
Let me do the experiment first, because I'm still skeptical that I'm going to see the wrong thing. Right.
Take the time, and then we'll do it. And I'm going to show people. People say, how I've looked into flat Earth and it's ridiculous. And if you go Google flat Earth, yes, it is ridiculous, because you'll end up at the Flat Earth Society. And the Flat Earth Society is a controlled, government-run, controlled opposition site with all nonsense on there. A little bit of truth and a lot of nonsense just to make you laugh at flat Earth. If you Google flat Earth, images, it's going to show you a disc floating in space with a whole bunch of other planets. You know, it'll show you this or this. Okay. No flat earther thinks any of this. This is all by the Flat Earth Society put out there to make people never look at flat Earth again.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So show me how it really is then. I mean, or not how it really is, but according to you, if this isn't the model behind you right now is not it, then you're looking at kind of a snow globe scenario or something like that, or what does it look like?
Can you enable screen sharing?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, when you say snow globe, that kind of trivializes it. But yeah, the Earth is a flat plane. And while you enable that, let me explain what the Earth is. So I'm going to ask you some easy questions. After a rainstorm, there's puddles. The puddle accumulates where? It accumulates in the low spot in the land.
Yeah.
Okay. And a pond is just a big puddle, right? And the shoreline of the pond is where the land is higher than the water surface. Pretty easy, right? The gravity or whatever that force is that keeps the water down. You have your flat surface of the pond and you have the land that surrounds it, right? And now think of the world as all of the oceans of the world as a giant pond, a giant puddle. And the land, and then with some islands in the puddle, some land that's higher than the water surface, and those are all the continents. And then the shoreline around the puddle is the land that's just higher than the water, and so no water gets out. If you get on a boat, go anywhere to any continent, you can basically pull up to the shoreline, walk out into the town, and go buy whatever you need to buy, do what you got to do. But if you go to Antarctica, which is the shoreline that surrounds the world, the land is 200 feet over your head because Antarctica is the highest land on Earth.
Yeah.
We live in the Antarctic basin, right? And it contains all of the world's oceans. What's beyond that ice wall or ice cliff? There's a plateau that goes on for hundreds of miles, and then there's mountain ranges that are supposedly taller than Everest. And no one is allowed to go there and look. It's off limits since 1957 when they made a treaty to save the penguins and save the ice. Environmentalism, before environmentalism was a word, all the countries in the world signed on to it, and you can't, no person, no corporation can even question it until the year 2041, right? But meanwhile, we can deforest the Amazon and plant palm oil trees and do all sorts of stuff, but nobody can go to Antarctica except for tourists that pay $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 for a couple of days. They see the edge. They see just the edge. They bring them out a little bit and they show them a pole and they say that's the South Pole, but there's no way to verify it because GPS and compasses don't work.
Right.
And then they send them on their merry way, and that's the end of it. So let me show you what the best way. This is going to take about 2 or 3 minutes. You ready?
Yeah, absolutely. Hit me.
This is the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, and it shows you how the sky is a perfect clock. So if I speed up the hour hand is the sun, and the sun goes around once every 24 hours. You know, that's how they fooled us. They said, hey, let's change the clock to go around twice so they don't figure out that it's really the sky clock, right?
Yeah, sure.
So wherever the sun is, it's noon, and you see the sun is catching up to the moon. The sun will lap the moon once every 28 days. Okay. So, and the sun is definitely related to the moon phases, but it's not reflecting light off the moon. I think it's actually powering up the moon like a Tesla coil, but that's different. Again, above our head speculation.
Sure.
But we can measure. You'll see it's a new moon right now, and now the sun is going to start lapping it, and you'll see that there's the waxing crescent. And 28 times around, and it will lap the moon. You'll see all the phases. If I turn on the stars, the fixed stars in the sky, all of the zodiac stars, rotate just slightly faster than the sun. And so that way the sun will move, from this constellation. Next month, it'll be in this one. Next month, it'll be in Pisces. And because it takes a full year to lap the sun. So after a year, we'll be back in this constellation again.
Yep.
And if you go out tonight and look at the stars in the sky at whatever time and mark where they are, next year at the same time, the stars will be in the exact same position, right? Without anything changing other than the wandering stars, which they now call planets.
Yeah.
All right.
And
so
what about everything beyond? What about everything beyond the planets and beyond? Like all the different galaxies that we're seeing with the Hubble Space Telescope and stuff. Are those out there?
The Hubble Space Telescope doesn't exist.
Okay.
We've proven that, and I'll show you. I have proof even from NASA, and it doesn't make any sense. you know, the Hubble Space Telescope is falling around the Earth, but it's able to focus on a distant galaxy for like hours or days to get an image. It makes absolutely no sense. And they also say it's in the thermosphere, which is hotter than any element that we know could survive. So again, it's not even a question. That's a longer conversation. But so the sun measures the hours and the days. The moon measures the weeks and the months, and the stars measure the seasons and the years. It's a perfect clock that repeats itself. Eclipses repeat themselves every 18 years and I think 11 days or something like that. They repeat themselves. They're not like a random spinning crazy spiral. So you say, so let me show you that this is how a compass really works on flat Earth. At the north is in the center of the flat Earth. If you go any direction away from the center, that's south. I can head south to Johannesburg. I could head south to South America. I could head south to New Zealand. Mm-hmm. That's south. If I go west, remember my compass has to point towards the north. So if I want to go east, 90 degrees east, I follow my compass and I have to keep turning left to maintain 90 degrees because my compass needle always has to point towards the center. I don't know I'm going in a circle because if you were going on a racetrack that was 300 miles around, perfectly circular track, you would think you were driving in a straight line.
Correct.
Okay. And so you go all the way around, you come back to where you started from and you go, I circumnavigated the ball. No, you didn't. You went around the block.
Right.
You can also go north, straight line up. I passed north. Now I'm going south and I'm over in Indonesia or Japan or wherever. Right. None of those prove the earth is flat because you can do that on a ball earth and a flat earth.
Right.
What you can't do on a flat earth is go south, like from South America over Australia, over Antarctica and pop up in Australia, or off of Johannesburg and pop up in New Zealand. Yeah. That you can do on a ball and you can't do it on a flat earth.
Okay.
And nobody's ever done it. Okay. Nobody's ever done it. So real quick, if you'll say, okay, well, I've got questions. You hit the question mark and up come all of the questions that you're going to have. What about seasons? What about circumnavigation, which I just explained? What about, why the lie? We'll get into that in a minute. But if I click why the lie, up come all the videos that Google will not serve you to explaining why the lie. And all of these have tons of videos. If you go to the next page, there's all sorts of other information that you can find. If you Google flat earth, you're going to get videos, 10 ways to prove the earth isn't flat, or National Geographic proves the earth isn't flat. All of that is in debunking the debunkers button, right? We have their videos. We don't say they're fake. We show you how they're fake.
Yeah.
We show you different playlists for different languages. But here's what I say. If you think flat earth is stupid, get the app. It's $2.99. Every day, a new video shows up here. I do short ones during the week, longer ones on the weekend. You watch a video every day for 2 weeks, and you too will lose the respect of your family and friends because you'll be a flat earther by the time that 2 weeks is up. Listen, and what happens
I don't have the respect, man. I've already lost it with doing this stuff.
Well, that's good. So then you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose and friends to gain. But people say I didn't want to wait, so I hit the archive button, which is right next to that. I didn't want to wait for every day for a new video. So I hit the archive button and up comes the current month videos as it loads here. Here's the current month, right? So you got a ton of videos there. And if you hit the little hamburger at the top, up come all of the other months with all of the other videos, 30 plus videos in each section. Bring food and water if you click that button. And then you'll know. It does a whole bunch of other things. It has weather app in it, has countdown timer. You can change the backgrounds. Like here, there's a different background. There's tons of backgrounds. You could add your own background. You can gift it to friends. There's my t-shirt shop is in there. So the main reason I made it isn't to sell things. It's to teach people about where they don't live. And it actually I'm holding off on why flat earth matters because
I think that's going to be the most important part of our conversation, because at this point,
100%, and you're going to love it.
You're presenting some interesting theories. And again, I'm curious to see if any of them check out, but I can't tell you right off the bat because I don't have that kind of knowledge in my head. But absolutely, before I do the work to actually investigate this any further, I'm going to need to know why is this important? Because so far, again, even if everything you've said is true, doesn't really show me the relation to day-to-day life and to my goal, which is really just to live well, by my own standards and my own definition. And
Exactly.
looking for
We're going to
tools
get
to
there
help
in
me
a
do
second.
that. All right. Let's do it.
So here's a problem NASA has. This is all of the swirling, whirling, twirling, and inside what you're seeing here, you have moons going around, and in our solar system, there's like 80 bodies that are circling around, whatever the number is. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So NASA has a problem. They could take a supercomputer and they could say, okay, I've got a ball this big, it has this much gravity, and I have a smaller ball, has this much gravity, and put it into orbit around each other, and it will work perfectly like a clock. They can predict where it's going to be in 1,000 years from now, and it works.
Yep.
Then they add a third body, another moon, another planet, whatever, and they put it around orbit in one of them, and the entire model falls apart.
The 3-body problem. Yeah.
It's the 3-body problem. So you're aware of it.
Yeah,
so
familiar.
We have this, as I explained, with the sky being a perfect clock, everything repeats perfectly. We knew that alignment was going to happen. We knew the last time it's going to happen. Yep. We know when eclipses are going to be happening because they've happened before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All of this makes no sense in a helio-nonsensical soul lure system, right? They're literally trying to lure your soul away. So here's my take on why. Again, I'm not them, but it's evidently clear. So they don't want us to know who we are. Like if you believe in the heliocentric, nonsensical soul lure system, we're here having a soul's journey, and our goal is to maintain control of our soul and not give it away or sell it. Okay, it's to be a good person, have a good life. Everything you just said. But they want us to believe that, nothing exploded, created everything. Lightning struck, created an amoeba that turned into a fish, that grew legs, that turned into a monkey, that turned into a human.
Whoa. That's not it at all. That's not it. That's not what they're trying to tell us.
Evolution.
But that's not evolution. What you just described there is a scarecrow. You just did an ad hominem, my friend.
So what's evolution? Tell me what evolution is.
Well, first of all, it didn't start from nothing. The Big Bang no physicist has ever said that there was nothing and suddenly it exploded and became something.
So okay, doesn't matter. We evolved from lower species.
Of course, but guess what? Listen, even our star evolved, right? I mean, at the very beginning of the Big Bang, according to physics, there were 3 elements. Only 3 elements in the entire universe. Pardon me?
Pseudophysics. According to pseudophysics.
I don't know if they're pseudo or not. They seem to be calculating other things quite accurately.
You're believing them, and who's telling you them? NASA's telling you about them.
Sure. But what I'm saying is you're misrepresenting. If they're lying, you're misrepresenting even the lies. Because, I mean, if you say it the way you said it, of course, no one's going to believe that. That's nonsense. But that's not even what the pseudo physicists are saying. So you got to be careful with that, my friend, because that just makes it seem like you're trying to do a little ad hominem there. Because the real theory of evolution,
to get through it quicker. I mean, if you look at all the science programming and everything we're taught in school, we evolved from rats, essentially. Okay, by mutations, and that's just not how entropy works. Mutations don't make things more intelligent. Our eyes are a random accident. No, our eyes are given to us by God. We are created beings. So they want us to believe that we are however we became humans, right? Because by chance, we are on a tiny speck in a crazy universe spinning out of control in 4 different directions at once, where an asteroid could wipe us out at any moment, in a distant god or godless universe, okay, and just out of control. So we live in fear and we give up our power, when the truth is we are at the center of creation. This place was created for us. It's intelligently designed by a creator, right? There's many people, including myself, that have found the creator through this. I didn't come in this to believe in God or anything. I actually used to discredit anyone I was listening to as soon as they mentioned God, and I would write them off and unsubscribe. I'm out. I don't want to listen to you. You're a crazy religious fanatic. There's no God. That was my belief. But I'm not going to tell you who God is. That's everyone's personal journey. But I'm going to tell you, this place is created for us. There is a creator. Okay. Something less spectacular than this would be a tornado going through a junkyard and building a 747, brand new, pristine, with televisions in every seat. That would be less spectacular than every single thing about us. We are the center of creation. We have God-given free will, and nobody can take that from us unless we willingly give it away. And that's why they keep us in fear. That's why they fool us. With all of the stuff that's going on in the world, all of these events. But God-given free will, there's rules, and they have to tell us what they're doing. They always tell us what they're doing, and people are too dumbed down to say no. Therefore, they're saying yes. That's how the rules work here. Once you realize, who you are and that you have power, you take your power back, because we are in a spiritual war with these evil people, and I use that term people generously, running this place and controlling our minds. Right, we are they have us on a prison planet. And now some people say they believe in God and they believe the earth is a ball. That's fine, but you're missing God's creation, right? You're misinterpreting God's creation, but you could still be living a good life. It's when you understand where you really live and your feet are planted firmly on the ground, you take power back. Everything changes. Everything changed for me. My entire dream, my American dream, changed for the better. I never thought I'd have my own company, right? I was doing super well. And I walked away from it all. Nobody, and God gave me a sign. I asked for a sign, and man, did I get some signs so fast that my head started spinning, unlike the earth. And here I am, and I'm waking up tens of thousands, if not millions of people now, because people are starting to see. And once, it's easier to fool somebody, but it's harder to convince they've been fooled, especially when you're ripping their entire world foundation out from underneath them. We are taught the earth is a ball before we can talk. Babies, kids' books, kids' cartoons, every movie, all news, all television shows, it's all ball programming, all of it. It's everywhere. It's the biggest lie. It's so big that many smart people can't even see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and the interesting part to me about this conversation is that we agree on some very foundational points, but where we go from there is very different.
Yeah.
So, for example, I agree with you that there is a small group of people on this planet who are intentionally keeping us divided and distracted in order to stop us from realizing who and what we truly are. I completely 100% agree with you on that. But as to who we truly are, I think we might disagree on that. And I think we might disagree on the nature of the creation and the order in which things happened. You say that that the earth was created for us. I say that we were created for this earth. I believe in an intelligent designer, but I don't believe in an anthropomorphic God with a beard sitting in the sky, judging us.
Me neither.
I think that the natural intelligence of this entire universe, which again,
we're on the same page.
I think that we can, again, if you look at, so do you think that atoms exist? Do you think that quantum physics is pointing to anything true or real or accurate? Or
I don't think so.
So where, I mean, if you think that the scientific method is sound, then where does it stop being sound, and where do you draw the line?
Method in itself is sound, but they don't use the scientific method for anything that involves the globe Earth. They just say shit, and none of it is real.
But what about, again, at the lower level, at the particle level? Where we're talking about atoms and elements and those types of things.
That might be true. That might be true. That would work on a flat Earth and a ball Earth. Things fall into three baskets: works on a flat Earth, works on a flat Earth and a ball Earth, or works on a ball Earth.
Sure.
We found nothing that works just on a ball Earth. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing.
And do you think that could be because we just don't have maybe the comprehension or the understanding? You've said multiple times, this is what they tell us, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I agree with you. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not true or accurate. Just because it doesn't make sense to guys like you and I doesn't mean it's not accurate.
Yeah, but we have our God-given senses. We can see that we're
but
not.
Our senses deceive us.
Well, they can, but you can also.
They always do. They're deceiving you right now. Your senses are deceiving you right now.
That we're not on a spinning ball, and that's provable scientifically. What is the Earth? I don't know. Maybe it's a dielectric electric plane, inside a toroidal field. Maybe it's a simulation. I don't know.
But a simulation of what?
But it's not a spinning ball flying through an infinite vacuum, and we have science, real science, that proves that.
Again, the science does not say that there's a vacuum. They're saying that 60% of the universe is made out of dark matter, right? There's no empty space anywhere in the physics.
94%, I believe.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Dark matter, dark energy, right? That's the bulk of our universe.
And they've never seen it. It's just the theory to make their gravity equation work, and it still doesn't work.
But this vacuum that you're talking about is full of this stuff. And if you look at a guy like David Bohm, who again was an outsider in the physics community, he was not accepted by Heisenberg and all these other physicists at the time. He had some pretty radical theories about zero, what was it called? Zero vacuum energy or something like that. Like he was saying in a square inch of so-called empty space, there's enough energy there to power the entire Earth for 1,000 years. And so
theoretical nonsense. So
okay.
here NASA says space is a vacuum, and if they poked a hole in the space station, it would suck all of the air out of the space station.
Right.
Okay, so that is a vacuum.
Right. Okay.
Okay, and that's not the case. I mean, they had a hole in the space station a couple of years ago, and they fixed it with duct tape and bubble gum. They're laughing at us.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
No. And again,
Don
I'm not
Pettit
disagreeing with you there.
tweeted a picture of the hole, and it happened to be the same picture from a record album 10 years earlier.
Do you branch out and look into other things? Because I mean, if the entire structure of the Earth is a conspiracy and it's a lie, do you think that there might be some other important things out there scientifically that are also bullshit that we should probably look into?
Well, everything NASA does is completely nonsense. Nobody's ever been to space. Satellites are fake. Nuclear bombs are fake. Dinosaurs never existed. There were some large lizards, but there was giants on Earth. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of false flags that are happening, a lot of hoax events. Yeah. And these are provable things for anyone that takes the time to look. But everything online is censored now. You can't find anything. YouTube used to be a great hosting site for content, good stuff and fake stuff and real stuff and controversial stuff. But now it's just what they want. Right. It's very difficult to find the information. So we are, we're hosting it ourselves. But again, they're dividing us. So it's harder and harder to find the information. Yeah, so that's why I'm out reaching out to shows like this to get people to understand, where we live. All of the things that they tell us prove that the Earth is a ball, like sunsets and boats over the horizon, actually prove that the Earth is flat when you look at the real science. If the Earth was a ball, as Bill Nye, the lion guy, says, yeah, boats would disappear from the bottom up. But I could show you how they disappear on a flat plane exactly the same way.
How so?
And well, when you watch a ship go over the horizon, you're not seeing it go over the horizon. It's just getting smaller, and it's going into what we call the layer of it's like a miraging layer. I don't want to call it a mirage. So look at this. This is a whole city line here, right? Right. And this is the camera zooming out, and there's little boats there. And as it zooms out, the city disappears not because it's going over the horizon, just because it's too small. Right. You can't see it. The angular resolution limits of your eyes. That's an empty horizon, right? There's another one coming up. I'll show you. So if you look at where's the other one? I had another one. Oh, here.
Where'd you get these videos from?
We film these ourselves. There's thousands and thousands of them, but on the app, if you go to the question mark and hit "What about boats over the horizon?" a playlist of stuff that Google will not serve you. We've done them ourselves. We've done mirror tests. Watch the city, watch the boat. It's not going over the horizon. You just can't see it anymore. Yeah. Okay, you just can't see it. So we've done laser tests, mirror flashes that we can see a mirror at the water's edge flashing the sun where it should be 100 feet over the curvature, and there it is, because the sun flash will burn through all of the you can't see forever. Yeah. Sun, so watch this boat and this mountain. Okay, the mountain's bigger than the friggin' boat. This is with an infrared camera, and it disappears too. Yeah, it disappears. So boats over the horizon are complete and total nonsense. Satellites, do you know that NASA controls all the helium in the world?
I did not know that.
They're the largest consumer of helium. They have these satellites up to 8,000 pounds that they send up on these balloons, tens of thousands of them, okay, that are floating in the sky, and they don't tell us about them. They go up there they stay up for a year. We have ex-military guys that
are they fake?
Talk about how they recover them from midair recoveries, and these things are crashing all over the Earth.
So are these real satellites, or are they fake? Because you said satellites are fake. So what these?
Well, no. Satellites orbiting the Earth are fake.
Oh, I see.
Like try to find a photograph or a video of a satellite orbiting Earth. There aren't. They're nothing. You look it up. If you Google it, you'll just see cartoons.
Yeah, and videos from like the International Space Stations, in your opinion, are just completely doctored, fabricated.
It's not my opinion. You just watch what happens on the the International Fake Station, and you'll see that none of it works. Right here. So whenever a NASA rocket goes up, It goes up, it curves out, goes over the Bermuda Triangle, and it crashes. So
Mhm.
here's a rocket that was shot up in Arizona, okay? And I got this little sped up. It's spinning around and around. It's going up, and at 73 miles up, it hit something. It went into like water, but not as thick as water. It's a viscous
The
solution.
ether.
Ether, whatever it is, I don't know, but it went into something and it made a kerplunking noise, and then it floated. And when it turned on its side, it saw something. Okay, watch what it saw. Right now, it's going to show you when it turns on its side. Here it comes. You're going to see the moon. Ready? Here's the moon right there.
Yep.
That's the moon.
Yeah.
The moon was over Australia when this was shot. Okay, so that would be below the ball.
I see.
Below the ball.
Yeah.
But we could see the moon. And the reason we could see the moon is because we were up high enough where the air was, where there was no air or very little air. It was clear enough. And we're high enough where it doesn't get compressed into the horizon. So, when the sun is going down, so check this out. This is how, imagine these bars are clouds. And as the clouds go farther and farther away, they look lower and lower and lower, and they get closer and closer until the sun just goes beyond them. And it looks like it's setting from the bottom up. It's simple how it works once you understand it.
Yeah.
So,
but I can see it both ways. That's the problem. Maybe that's the problem with me. I can always see it both ways. I can hold multiple positions that appear contradictory, and I'm like, I can see how all of them are valid.
yeah.
And again, if this is some sign of a great conspiracy to control human beings and to force us to forget what we truly are, I feel like it's kind of a waste of energy. I don't see the connection, like even if everybody was like, oh my God, the earth is flat and they've been lying to us, I don't think that would cause people to turn inward and discover that they are manifestation and an expression of God.
That's where
And that's what they're trying to keep that from us.
Because every flat earther out there has already taken their power back. If everybody woke up to flat earth tomorrow, it would be the end of all universities, all science programs, all space programs, all governments. They would all crumble down and be gone because nobody would be giving them their power anymore.
Well, what would happen then? What would the world look like at that point?
There's definitely going to be a rough patch, but we don't need government. Govern the mind, control the mind. Ment is mind, govern is control. That's all it's about. It's all about words, and they use these words as spells. Here, check this out. Here is a sunset. The sun was up here. I'm filming this on a super clear day. And in 5 minutes time, it went from here all the way down to here. And then it stopped and it sat there for 10 minutes. Right there, that tells you the earth isn't spinning because it would move consistently until it was below. It sat there. This is sped up 2,500%. And watch what happens. It doesn't go below this apparent horizon. It just fades out into the clear sky. It just disappears into the thickness because the sun's light, even with its brightness, can't push all the way through. Here it goes forward and backwards a couple times. It just disappears. It's still there. It just disappears into the thickness. I mean, that's how this. But my friends at the beach saw the sun set, 10 minutes earlier, where the tree line for them, way far away, which they can't even see, is above their heads, and so the sun just goes away and it sets because it's above their eye line. That's how
where is it actually going? And if it's
just going around, it's just circling around, just like I showed you earlier on the app. The sun, this is the sun here, and it just circles around the earth and it migrates in between the two tropics. Here, let me show you real quick how the seasons work. So if you see where the sun is right now, that outer yellow line out here, this is the Tropic of Capricorn. And the inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer. And the red line is the equator. Right now, we're right near the winter solstice. It is the outer southern lands summer because the sun is right very close to them and high in their sky. It goes right over Australia. They're having the heat of their summer. And these outer southern lands are having the summer. But if I jump the sun forward 6 months, it goes all the way into the Tropic of Cancer, and that's when us in the inner north have the heat of our summer because the sun is closer to us, and because it's closer to us, it's higher in the sky. It's like, you watch an airplane fly over your head at 35,000 feet, it goes right over your head high in the sky, but if it was 20 miles to your left, it's much lower in the sky, just like the sun is lower in the sky to us right now. So that's how seasons work. It has nothing to do with the tilt of the earth.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
And I can prove that. We're told that the earth is tilted away and the sunlight spreads out. So when we're tilted away, we're having our winter. And when
Mhm.
we're tilted towards it, there's more direct sunlight, and that's our summer, right? That's nonsense. And did you know that during our winter, we're 3 million miles closer to the sun, according to the heliocentric nonsense? But think about this. On June 21st, if you go to the water's edge and the sun shows up on the horizon, within a minute, as soon as it shows up, you can feel the heat on your face. Boom, a
Mhm.
clear day, you can feel the heat on your face. That is the most severe tilt possible, not a 34-degree tilt. That is an 89.9-degree tilt when the sun shows up. And you could feel that heat on your face. 6 months later, wait until 12 noon when the sun is at its highest point for the day. Let's say it's at a 50-degree angle, which is way more direct.
Mhm.
You can barely feel the heat on your face. And
Mhm.
the sun is even closer, according to them. But it's closer, it's got a way more direct angle, and you can't feel the heat on your face. That debunks seasons, period. Any mind without having a degree can understand that. Nobody disagrees with that, but that's what we experience. Science will not address this fact.
Hmm.
It should be arctically freezing every morning, all year long, if the tilt thing was true.
Hmm. Again, I don't know what they tell us about the tilt and how close we'd be in the winter time versus the summertime. I
Yeah,
have to verify that. But yeah,
that's the
it
thing. A
doesn't
funny thing about
it
flat
doesn't
Earth
make
is we know
sense.
more about the ball than the guys that believe they live on a ball.
Yeah, but you have to. If you're going to debunk something, you have to know it inside and out.
100%. I've
And
been
that's
doing
why
it
I
six
studied the
years
Bible
nonstop
for
every day.
that's why I studied the Bible for a long time, because I thought if I'm not going to believe in something, I better know it well.
Hey, go if you go on the app and you click the web button, and down on the bottom right, second from the right, biblical flat Earth, hit that puppy, and you got a ton of videos that'll show you all about how flat Earth and the Bible um, all go together. So
It's
that's a
funny.
fascinating.
My parents are Jehovah's Witnesses, and they tried to argue that the Bible predicted a spherical Earth, and they used the same quote that you shared earlier about the circle of the Earth. And I said a circle doesn't mean a sphere.
Right. So that's
So
a faulty argument. That's a faulty
yeah,
argument.
yeah.
And Bob talk, the Bible talks about the foundation the earth is made and it never moves. It can never move. It's on the pillars, the God's footstool. I don't know what's underneath the earth, and nobody knows what's inside the ball earth either, because
Turtles all
nobody
the
can
way
get
down, baby.
below 8 miles.
Yeah, it's turtles
Nobody
all the
can
way
get below
down,
eight
man.
miles.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know either. I've never been there, and I don't. I've never been to the Arctic. I've never been out in space. I've never seen any of this stuff firsthand, or I've never experienced it
Nobody's been to
firsthand.
space.
Yeah, well, apparently. So I can't speak on these things because again, they're so far out of my direct experience range, and I'm the kind of person who, unless I have some direct experience with it, I'm not going to make a decision. I'm not going to say yay or nay, or I'm 100% sure. The only thing I'm
Well,
100% sure of, Dave, is that I am, and anything beyond that, I can't be sure about it because I don't even know.
the globe earth has a huge advantage over the flat earth. You could just believe it.
Of course, it's
You
the
don't need any
default
proof. You don't
model.
need any proof.
No,
You
it's the
don't need
default
anything.
model.
You just believe it because that's what the masses believe.
Yeah,
But if you want to know the truth, and the truth is that we don't live on a globe, there's still arguments about exactly how the flat earth works, and that's fine. But there's no argument that we don't live on a globe when you look at any of the science. Science proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that we don't live on a ball, we don't live on a spinning ball, we don't live in a pressurized system next to a vacuum, that rockets don't go to space. It's all there. It's all provable, but you just have to have the time and willingness and willing to lay down your ego to see it.
absolutely. Well, and here's my question to you. Okay, can't we just skip the whole flat Earth and get to the part where we're being divided and controlled by a small group of ignorant, greedy people, and get to that? Like, my question is again, why the flat Earth? There's a number of different conspiracies, a number of different issues going on right now in the world that could be in my opinion, a much better, more effective catalyst for a kind of revolution or paradigm shift. So can't we just skip over
I'm
the
with
flat
you.
earth and go straight to the powers that be and say, look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing to
Well,
people. They're playing games with our lives. For us, money is life and death. For them, it's monopoly. Like, why can't we go to something that, and then maybe later on, once we've shifted the paradigm, then we can investigate this flat earth situation in
Well,
more
I,
detail.
I I disagree with that. I mean, yes, everything you said is true, other than why start with the flat Earth? Because if you're lost in space, you can't make a rational decision. If you don't know who you really are, where you really are, your decisions aren't going to be as good as they could be if you did know.
But
And
learning
if
who
you
you
know
truly are
that
doesn't
you're in
involve
God's
proving a
creation
flat
and that
earth,
you're
my
at the
friend.
center of creation, that that makes you a more powerful decision maker.
What I'm saying is you don't need the flat earth to learn that. You can just go within yourself and do the work. You can
Sure,
you
sure.
you can go within yourself and do the work. You are the center. You are the center, Dave. There's no denying it. You know that. You've been the center since you've been aware that you were a being. I'm
Yep.
the center. So you don't need a flat earth to bring you to any of these conclusions in my
Right.
personal
But you
opinion.
do
And
need
again,
you
I've
do
come to these conclusions without going through the flat earth. You know what I
I
mean? Like
got you. No, and that's what I said. There are people that have found their way and think they live on a ball, but the ball has fooled many people. It makes them have a nihilistic attitude because it keeps them from finding the creator. It makes them feel powerless and that their actions don't have recourse, or their actions don't have any consequences. That's the word I'm
mhm,
looking for.
yeah.
And it keeps a lot of people away from that.
Mhm.
Also, we have flat earth conferences when we get together. Nobody there gives their power away anymore. They're all thriving. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
But
amazing.
but again, I think you can reclaim your power and you can learn who you truly are without necessarily believing in a flat earth or spherical earth. I don't think I just don't see how
No, I like to know
um
where I live. That's all.
yeah, well, I know where I
Personal
live. I mean,
preference.
I'm looking at it right now, and whether or not this city or this island is on a flat earth or a spherical earth doesn't change anything for me.
That changes everything for me.
All right. Well, again, and this is why I like talking to different people because this is an interesting point of view. And, I just think that beyond the flat earth, I think you've got the right idea. And I think that I would suggest maybe pursue some of those ideas a little bit more closely because I think the flat earth, honestly, is a distraction from the truth that you're preaching, which is the future of our species is hanging in the balance. And we need to come together and we need to discover once and for all who we truly are. And Jesus was telling us, the Buddha was trying to tell us. I mean, all the way back, to ancient times, there have been people who have come forth and said, "You're it, buddy. Look within yourself. You're looking for God, truth, beauty, goodness. Look within yourself." And I think that that's the message, personally, that is really valuable. If people do that, everything else is going to resolve itself. We're going to figure out whether it's a sphere or a flat earth. We're going to figure out whether the science is real or not. But first, we got to figure out what's real within ourselves and find that. That's what I think.
I got you. It's just a path to help people get there, in my opinion, and that's why I'm doing it. And I've
Beautiful.
seen it's waking up tons. I mean, countless tens of thousands of people. So
Yeah. And I
it's a
mean,
good
like,
thing.
so just a parting question for you. I mean, so, let's say that this revolution happens, people discover the truth about this earth and its shape, and it triggers the downfall of governments, as you said, and collapsing economies and things of that nature. What's the way forward for humankind after that, in your opinion? Because I
There's,
do I do see a collapse coming. So whether
there's
it's caused by flat Earth or not, so what's the path forward for us, in your
the
opinion?
path forward is to abolish all government and to let people run society themselves. There's a city in Mexico where they've kicked out the police, they've kicked out the government, and it's the most peaceful, thriving place in Mexico. I forget the name of it off the top of my head,
Hmm.
but people can rule themselves.
Hmm.
And people are
But
like,
that's what
well, don't you
governments
like your
were.
cell phone? Well, cell phones aren't made by the government. There's people that innovate and do all sorts of stuff. So,
Yeah.
what about the roads? Well, government doesn't build the roads. Government spends too much money. There'd be companies that maintain roads, and it
But
all works.
don't you think it would be wiser and safer and more effective to reform government than to just get rid of it? Because I think that it does fulfill some important functions. And I think that if you got rid of all of
You know
that
what?
stuff, people would eventually form councils or boards or whatever,
Yeah.
which would act like a government. The point of the
Government
government,
as it exists right now, the
correct.
government that exists, there's
Yeah.
no reforming it. They all need to be hung.
I'm not going to say that, but I have thought it before. I think there's probably a
Yes.
handful of them
Well,
that
thoughts
are
create your
good.
reality. You got to remember that. That's what they don't
Yes,
want us
that's very
knowing, that our
true.
thoughts create our reality. So I said it, you thought it, same thing.
Well, here, let me present to you my current opinion on those
And then
people.
we got to wrap it up.
Yeah,
Thanks.
okay, sounds good. Okay, here's what I think. I think that those people are not evil. I think that making them sound like masterminds who are deliberately trying to fool us and do all this stuff is giving them too much credit. I think that they're threshold guardians. I think that they're here as opposition because you need tension in order to have progress. You need opposition in order to have some kind of evolution there. And I think that they're actually here for our betterment. because when we overcome them, we're going to move into a new phase of human existence. It's going to be far superior and completely radically different from what we have now. But we have to go through this threshold, and they're the ones who are just guarding it for us. So, I don't feel like I don't hate those people anymore. I used to have a lot of resentment towards corrupt government and government officials, and now I just view them as the obstacle is the way. They're the obstacle, so we just got to get past them, and we got to find a way to co-opt this.
I
whole
agree.
thing.
I'm with you. I get it. And
Okay.
anyone that's listening, check out the app. You can just point your camera there or just search for Flat Earth Clock. It'll come right up. It's by Blue Water Bay. That's the logo, so you don't get the wrong one. $2.99. There's a little pop-up that says, would you like to subscribe? You don't have to subscribe. Just exit out. It goes away instantly. There's no ads. It only shows up once a day. Click, click, click. It's gone.
Cool.
So
you got websites and stuff too. I'll drop the links in my comment section.
Yeah,
I'll send you the
links, but the flatearthpodcast.com, you can find, on any podcast player, the Flat Earth Podcast. Take the Flat Earth. You don't want to get the app. That's fine. Listen to the first 10 episodes of the Flat Earth Podcast. And again, the same thing will happen. You'll realize that you don't live on a spinning ball. So my YouTube channel is the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. It's just DITRH, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, DITRH. I have all short videos there. Again, everything can be found through the app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app.
Yeah, and the links will all be down here. I mean, like you'll send those to me, and I'll just throw them in the comments as well, so that people can get a hold of that. Awesome. Well, I hope this conversation was entertaining, enlightening, and interesting for the audience. And I know that it was super interesting for me. And I definitely am going to do some experiments of my own now to see this whole curvature situation. And maybe we can talk again.
Yeah, no problem. Check out the Boats Over the Horizon. It'll give you some ideas for some great experiments.
Yeah, for sure. I'll look at what the science is supposedly saying, and then I'm going to go find out for myself, and then we'll see how those two experiences line up, and I'll shoot you an email and let you know how it went.
All right, awesome. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Dave. Pleasure talking with you.
See you.
Cheers, brother.